So, hey there, welcome back to Tweet Trends. Today, I am so excited. I have a guest that I've been chatting with for quite some time now over email, and it was time. It was time for us to get here, get on the show, and have this discussion. The Let me tell you about him first. Let me not spoil it. So, he is a Guinness Book of World Records holder. And so honestly, we're probably going to have to talk about this because it's in speed golf. He has the fastest single hole of golf played. That's the record. And I didn't know that was a thing. So we're going to have to kind of touch on that. He's a former professional triathlete with, get this, 31 worldwide event wins. 31. That to me is amazing. Like, you get one and you're patting yourself on the back. You get over 30 and it's like, oh my gosh, how crazy is that? But that's not it. He is a high jumper in the master's level. So if you don't know anything about track and field, I'm going to need you to look up information about track and field to see what the high jump actually is. And then you will know how amazing this man is, because who's doing that? It's easy for these young kids to do the high jump, in my opinion, because they're limber. And look, we got Stretch here. He can do it all. So, but hold on, I'm not done yet. He has a podcast. It's the B.rad Podcast, where he covers health and fitness, peak performance, happiness, longevity, and we're going to touch on this too. The emphasis is on releasing self-esteem as it's related to performance. You're gonna have to talk to me about that, because that's me. I struggle with that. So I said all of that to introduce my amazing guest today, Mr. Brad Kearns, or B.rad. Hey, how you doing, Brad?
Yvette, wow, what an intro. As your listeners know, you're a live wire. You're one of a kind. I could feel it as soon as we exchanged a few emails. This girl had some spice. She had some energy. And so what an honor to be on your show. I can't wait to get into it.
Well, I'm telling you, just the back and forth that we had going with the emails, I was like, you know what? We need to have this on the record. It needs to be an on the record conversation, because this is too good to have alone in the email sphere. So what we're going to be talking about is fitness goals and setting yourself up for success now. Because with this being November, a lot of people are in the process of making their New Year's resolutions. Like, come January, this is what I'm going to do. And why wait? Why are we waiting? We need to go ahead and do this now. So in talking to you, I realize you're probably one of the best people to have this conversation with.
Oh, thanks. And right now, 2022 is a tough time because there's so many distractions and there's so many things that have forced their way into modern life, and they set us up to kind of go on a slippery slide down to convenience, comfort, luxury, and losing that tremendously important aspect of being human, which is moving frequently throughout the day and keeping in shape, especially as the years go by. And now we're so accustomed to the aging process and the average rate of aging and decline that we've come to view all these things as normal. And so we all tell our stories. Back in the day, I was a big athlete. I could have made the pros, but I hurt my right shoulder and all that nonsense. And then we sit on the couch and watch everybody perform on the weekend, for hours and hours. And so that's what I'm all about. I try to emphasize this theme in my podcast and in the stuff that I contribute on the social media, that it's important to pursue peak performance with passion throughout life and have something that gives you an edge and puts you in a competitive setting, even if you're just competitive with yourself and you have a goal of climbing the high mountain in your area in the summer, or anything that could be that gets you excited and gets you accountable and focused to do something toward your fitness and your longevity every single day.
So everything you said just now, yes, we need to get that in a book somewhere, because I know a lot of those people, and I'm not gonna And maybe I kind of sort of might have fallen into that trap as well. What I used to do, what I could do, what I want to do, but we all know that you have to put the energy towards it. You have to be dedicated. And I think that's where a lot of us kind of fall short. We're so busy being busy that we don't take the time for ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, and I'm going to put some intense blame on the fitness industry in general, because I think what's happened is we've glorified and turned this into a marketing machine where we glorify pain and suffering and struggling, and that's how you get fit. And so we really want to make sure you're sweaty and you're there every single day and you show up at 6 a.m. Otherwise, you're cast aside as a lazy modern human. And it's a lot of the mainstream programming has these elements and these attributes to it where it's, a workout that really pushes you and challenges you and knocks you on your butt, and the next day you're sore. And there's a certain segment of the population that gets off on that. And these are the people that are left when the smoke is clearing, and they're doing fantastic. Congratulations to all of you in that small percentage, that small slice of the pie of what most people are all about. And so if you're not extremely devoted to fitness and you live and breathe this stuff and your social outlet is the running club or the gym, that's fine. You're allowed to live a normal, everyday, healthy, happy, balanced life. But I think the message that has to come out is that getting fit and getting really fit does not take that much time, and it does not require struggling and suffering. It just requires finding things that you enjoy yourself and performing within your level of capability so that you're not straining and overstressing your body and feeling depleted and exhausted after workouts. And with this example, we can look to the greatest athletes on the planet, such as the track and field champions or the performers that are at the highest level in a Tour de France, or the marathon runners or the ultra marathon. And the research shows that these athletes perform well within their capability at almost all the workouts. And so the workouts look really impressive. And if you saw Eliud Kipchoge running by you on the street, the great Kenyan marathoner, the greatest runner of all time, and he's flying by and you're like, wow, look at that guy go. And he's going for 20 miles at that pace. How amazing. But relatively speaking, with his heart rate and his energy output and his stress levels, he's able to perform in a manner that the vast majority of the workouts are pretty comfortable. They're not killing him. He's not puking on the side of the road after his hard workout. And if we want to go make a comparison to the average person, for you and I, that's just a brisk walk around the block. That's going to get your heart rate into the training zone and the appropriate training zone, rather than when you go join the running club on Tuesday nights and it's exciting and fun, but you're pushing yourself a little bit too hard and you feel depleted and exhausted the next morning. And that's when we kind of fall off our well-intentioned commitments to fitness, is when things are a little bit too hard. Same with the 6 a.m. morning spin class that your friend says, come on, meet me there. It's fun. I promise, we'll knock it out and we'll have a great day. And they take you to the exciting music and the peppy instructor saying, come on, one more sprint. You guys can do it. You got this. Okay, step up and go on a higher speed for 30 more seconds. And at the time, it feels like you get a burst of adrenaline and endorphins after, and it feels like you accomplished something and you are sweaty and you get to high five the person next to you on the bike. But if you consistently exercise in such a pattern, it's very likely that you're going to suffer from breakdown, burnout, illness, or injury, because it's just too stressful. And it's relatively way more stressful than the Tour de France guy who's out there pedaling for 5 hours every single day, but they're pedaling at a comfortable heart rate and they're working within their capabilities. Same with people at the gym, or any top performer is so fit that they can do an impressive amount of training, but they feel fine after. They're not knocked out like the average person who's going around looking for the nearest tube of honey to suck down after their workout.
That's so true. That is so true. And, having a core group of Black female friends, that is probably one of the hardest things that I've had to try to get them to understand. Like, I just want them to move. just move, park your car at the back of the parking lot and walk to the mall, walk up the stairs, just get the movement in. Like you said, you do it at your level. You don't try to do it at somebody else's level. And so, yeah, I'm going to put that on replay. I
Yeah.
need, I need people to hear that over and over again.
Listen up, Black female friends. Speaking of Black female friends, my favorite track and field athlete, Elaine Thompson, the great Jamaican sprinter, is the second fastest female of all time. She doubled in the Olympics, the only athlete ever to do that. And I went and watched her in person for the first time at the World Championships this year in Eugene, Oregon. And my favorite part of the meet was not in the beautiful grand stadium watching the amazing races, but I would go over to the practice track, and you could stand on this railing and look down where the athletes were warming up 2 hours before they were due to compete later that night. And she went to the same spot every day and did the same thing. And it was like going in and punching the clock. And if she was making sweaters in the factory, that would be, no different than what she did. And she just went through her sequences. She'd sip her water. She'd go back and do more of her moving stretches. Then she'd do some practice starts. And then she'd take some time to take a breather and reflect and get back into it. And it's like the preparation that goes into running down the track for 10 seconds really fast was a really enlightening thing to see. How committed they are, how devoted they are, and how consistent they are every single day. But nothing was extremely strenuous that we saw there. She was just, warming up the machine to strain for 10 seconds during the World Championships, but the rest of it was well within her capabilities. And so the message going out to the listener is like, if you can just get up and walk around the block, just like you suggested to your friends, that is such an amazing accomplishment and a great thumbs up. And you're going to feel great after, or at least you're not going to feel tired and exhausted. And so we want to figure out a way to get into an active lifestyle groove where it's not this big struggle and sacrifice requiring a huge dose of energy, because you may be a busy mom trying to get the kids off to school and then have an hour to yourself, and then you have more to do at work, and then this happens and that happens in life. So taking a few minutes here and there can add up over time to represent a wonderfully fit, healthy, active lifestyle. And so we have this critical obligation to move more. And then the other piece of it is we do have to put ourselves under challenge, resistance load, if you call that, strength training, resistance training, and also performing very brief explosive movements to condition the muscles, the connective tissue, and especially the hormones to not suffer from this accelerated decline into aging that we see when we're just sitting around all day watching TV and talking about how great we were decades ago. And so the great thing about these attributes are the moving around more is at a comfortable pace. So you're not straining yourself when you walk around the block. You don't have to jog around the block. And when it's time to do something powerful and explosive, you only do it for a few reps, a few seconds at a time. So even though it is extremely difficult, the workout only lasts for, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And the hard stuff is only a cumulative of only a couple few minutes. And there you have a beautiful sprint workout. So I have this bike called the Carol bike. It's a indoor stationary bike, and it's, computerized. It's kind of like a Peloton, but you turn on the workout, and the workout's only 8 minutes long. But what they have you do is warm up a little bit, and then you pedal easily for 12 seconds, sprint for 8 seconds, pedal easily for 12 seconds, sprint for 8 seconds. And you do that for a very short duration period of time. Then you cool down, and then you're done. You go about your day. And you're working really, really hard when you have to keep sprinting for 8 seconds with only 12 seconds rest, but the workout's over in 8 minutes. And so we know how many Americans, raise your hand if you have a stationary bike sitting in your house that's gathering dust or has a sweater hanging on the handlebars as a second hanger. It's because we look at that bike and we're intimidated and discouraged because we know how painful an hour-long ride is, especially if it's with the instructor and all the pressure to to line up with the level set by other people. So if we can just kind of tone down our ambitions for a moment and say, I'm going to set a goal to ride that bike for 5 minutes every day, That's not a ridiculous notion. That's actually a fantastic contribution toward your long-term fitness and your long-term adherence to perhaps enjoying it so much that you're going to ride for 10 minutes and maybe 30 minutes sometime.
Right. So that's why I like you so much, Brad. That's why I
I'm
like
easy.
you.
It's easy.
You exactly,
Everything's easy.
it is. It really is. If you just do a little bit, like you said, you can build up to more later on, but start somewhere. Start with a couple of minutes, and you never know where that could take you.
Yeah, I mean, go look on Amazon. The #1 best-selling book in the world right now is called Atomic Habits, written by James Clear. He's got great stuff, but one of his big popular notions is, start so small, put the bar up so low that it's easy to step over, and then you build momentum and you create a habit because it's easy to adhere to, rather than doing something or setting some goal that requires a ton of motivation and willpower, because motivation and willpower are easily depleted assets. We wake up first thing in the morning, we're all motivated to do this, do that. We're using our willpower to avoid having the donut, and instead we have a healthy breakfast. And then at 9:45 p.m., because we've dumped out a bunch of motivation and willpower throughout the day to stay on course, then the level is down, and then we reach for the pint of Ben and Jerry's because we've depleted those precious resources. So what could you do that does not require motivation or willpower, that's actually enjoyable and is easy to sustain? That's when we're getting onto a winning path. I always like the example of if you have a dog, when you made that commitment to own that dog, you want to give the dog a proper life. So you are obligated to get that dog out of the house and walk around the block twice a day. That's the minimum to take care of a dog properly and get them out smelling and sniffing and marking their territory and all those things. So even if you're not motivated to get off the couch at 9:45 p.m. and take one lap around the block before you retire for the evening, do it for your dog at least. Find something bigger than yourself that you can honor. Same with your girlfriends. If you guys want to get together and say, hey, let's do a challenge, the 5-minute workout every day challenge for a month. Oh, come on, Yvette, that's ridiculous. 5 minutes, I can knock, if I do 12, if I do an hour, can I knock off the first 12 days of the month? Okay, well, no, let's just do 5 minutes every day. And that's so easy that this chances of success to integrate into habit are, fantastic.
That's so true. Now, I checked you out on YouTube it was the Primal Kitchen video where you did your morning routine, and it was so funny because like you were in the bed and you're like, hey, this is what I do. And it was, looking at it, it was kind of like, oh, that's real simple. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that. And so I started it. I started maybe it was maybe 3 days ago I started.
Right
And I
on.
realized on day one that doing 30 reps was not going to happen. But I toned it down for where I was. I did 10 for each thing. And when I tell you, this is still in the bed. So trying to explain to people that haven't seen this yet, you're going to need to check it out. But I was in the bed. I went through the routine, and I actually did all of it. I didn't even go to the floor to do the bridge because I didn't go up to my hands. I just did from my back. But when I got out of the bed, I was ready to start my day. Like I was awake and ready, and it wasn't the whole groggy, like, oh, stumble to the bathroom type thing. It was like, oh, all right, let's get the day going. And it felt really good to do that.
Wow, I'm so happy to talk about this subject. And there's actually 2 videos on YouTube. One's from 2017, and then I have one from 2020, and it's kind of my updated morning routine. And so the story starts like this. As you read at the start, I'm a lifelong athlete. I have all these competitive things I do, the speed golf and the track and field events. And so working out and getting my training sessions in is not a needs to improve area in my life. It never has been, right? I'm athletics. I live and breathe this stuff. So I know most people don't need to relate to that. But I realized after a while that my sprint workouts especially were so tough that they beat me up for a couple days after. And it was because I wasn't really approximating what I was doing out there on the track every Tuesday the rest of the week, because you have to rest. You can't be going and sprinting every day. And then I'd go sprint and I'd wake up the next day and my calves would be tight and my lower back and this and that. So I said, what if I did something every single day that kind of conditioned my body to absorb the punishment from sprinting a little better? And high jumping too is really stressful to the body. And so that's when before I got out of bed, I would start whipping my legs in the air and swinging them around and doing these things. And so it started with a really simple commitment to just swing my legs around in bed for 12 minutes before I, went off to my day. And I started to build some momentum and actually enjoy it. And like you said, you kind of feel awakened if you move your body for a few minutes right when you wake up, rather than reach for the phone or go shuffle down to the kitchen and make some coffee or whatever most people do. And so I started to build a streak where I did it every single day, and I was proud of it. And I felt like it was a great start to my day. And so what happened over 5 years' time, now it's almost 6 years streak where I haven't missed a single day, is I changed and altered the routine to make it a little more ambitious, a little more difficult, and adding some important exercises that I deemed to be really good for what my particular goals were. So today, it's a minimum of 40 minutes. And the sequences that I perform are actually pretty challenging. But for me, it's not that challenging because I do it every single day. So what's happened without even thinking about it is that I've dramatically elevated my fitness platform from which I launch my actual workouts, because I don't even call this a workout. I don't call it anything. It's just my morning exercise routine that's part of my day now. And so it's been wired so strongly into habit that it doesn't require any motivation. It doesn't require any thought. It doesn't require any creativity. Like, I'm not deciding what I'm going to do today. Should I bike? Should I run? Should I do my stretches? It's the same exact sequence as I specified on the video. It's like, here I do 40 of these hamstring kickouts, 40 on the other side, 20 frog kicks forward, 20 frog kicks backward, 20 scissors. And so my brain kind of goes into this sort of a meditative state where it's a beautiful way to start the day, where I'm just looking at the trees. I always do it outside, unlike the first video where I'm in bed. Finally, my wife, Mia Moore, is like, okay, well, what about me? Do I have to get out of bed when you start your thing? No. So I go outside, I hit the deck, I'm getting fresh air, I'm getting direct sun exposure to my face, which is really important in the morning. Not sunlight, but just light to set my hormones, even if it's a cloudy day. So you have to get outdoors into fresh air. And I do it very first thing just about every day. And my streak is off and running. And boy, it's been life-changing, even for someone like me who's an athlete. It's put me to a whole different level. And arguably, I have developed the focus and discipline and resilience against other forms of stress and distraction, because at least I can count on myself. The first 40 minutes of the day are dedicated to this sequence. And I want that to carry over into my discipline against looking at my email inbox when I'm supposed to be working on my book project or whatever. And I give myself an A+ for the morning routine and the commitment and the 6-year streak, and maybe a C+, or maybe worse sometimes when there are other things that kind of draw me off my best laid plans for the day. But it's a nice way to kind of put yourself into another category of someone who can do something that's proactive. It's a vote for your own health, for your own personal time. And again, I don't want people to misunderstand Brad Kearns bragging about his 40-minute chunk. That's a huge chunk to devote every single morning. And a lot of times I have kind of a stressful, my days getting really catching up to me. And the 40 minutes is, kind of a hassle a little bit, but I still do it. Or I'll have to do it, if I take a flight early in the morning, I'll do it later. But if you can say 5 minutes is what you have to devote to your morning exercise routine, that's fantastic, because I know the kids are getting up and they're looking for their waffles and the bus is coming at a certain time. And so a 5-minute movement session, the first thing you do upon awakening, can be life-changing, and it will give you that little boost in energy and alertness that's way better than any other thing you can do, including coffee.
Well, and I like the way how you described it in the video, where you said that you put these moves together for what you needed them for. And so pretty much anybody can do the same thing. You put together a couple of moves. If you know you've got tight hips or whatever, then maybe you want to get up and do some hip circles or something like that. And it, like you said, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment, but a commitment nonetheless. You a couple of minutes here, there, because I'm definitely that mom that, I have to get my daughter on the bus by 7. And so it's like,
7, come on, that's
yes,
terrible.
and she's only in the 4th grade. So I mean,
Oh, mercy.
yeah, they are on their way to school at 7 in the morning. So it's kind of like, all right, do I get up early, or maybe do I do it after I get her on the bus, or where do I fit it in? But 5 minutes, I can do that. I can easily do that, and then get her on the bus and do something else afterwards. I can go for a walk around the neighborhood after she gets on the bus. And I think that's probably one of the key things that we get people to look at: where they're spending their time, what they're doing, and where can you fit in that little extra little nugget of time to do a little something.
Yeah, and most of us, if we were honest with ourselves, we can admit how much time we fritter away doing digital stimulation, distraction related things. But definitely, we have to acknowledge the realities. And when the bus needs to be caught at 7 a.m., I'm also not at all a fan of the peak performers blabbing about just wake up earlier and then you'll be a more productive person. I think that's complete bullshit. And I get plenty of sleep every night. I always have. And so that's what pinches my day more so than my routine, is that I also needed to sleep until 7:45 instead of 7:15, because that's just how it is sometimes. And then all of a sudden, boy, wait a second, it's 9 o'clock. I haven't even flipped open my my laptop yet. But these things, they deserve to take priority for virtually everyone, because it will be a more productive, focused, disciplined person if we can do things that advocate for ourselves. And so in your case, when you're building in all these different specific commitments, and so it's 5 minutes, and then it's putter around and get daughter off to the bus, and then you have 15 minutes after that, and you can repeat that day after day after day. Now, I'm going to predict that the next 8 hours of the day are going to be more productive, balanced, stress balanced, focused, enjoyable, because you're locked into a pattern where you're the one in charge rather than, I'll see if I can get it done today. It might be too busy. And that's where, I mean, you wanted to have this emphasis of the show being on getting out of our own way and getting started on a fitness lifestyle. And I think getting out of your own way is a huge issue here. And I'd like to say to everybody, look, it's not your fault. I'm going to blame the fitness industry, like I said, for pushing you too hard. And if you are raising your hand that you did something and you were in a good groove and then you fell off, it's probably because you were pushed too hard and you were misguided by whatever it was, a personal trainer, the group exercise, the group energy that was, not appropriate for your individual level of fitness and time commitment. And so starting back with something that's easier, more doable, more sustainable, then we're going to build momentum. And I think I also hear a lot of people say, just get started with 5 minutes a day, and pretty soon it'll turn into an hour because you love it. Well, guess what? Maybe not, but it doesn't matter, because 5 minutes here and there is still fantastic. And I talk about this other concept that I'm really fond of called micro workouts. And I think this is the greatest breakthrough in the fitness industry in decades. And the concept is that you can put your body under some form of resistance load or brief high intensity effort over the course of your day, and have these little sessions add up to a tremendous fitness benefit. Because we've also been socialized to think that a workout entails getting in your car, driving 12 minutes to the gym, looking for a parking spot, going in, beeping your little tag, getting your towel, seeing if there's a space left on the bike seat, or maybe it's too crowded. This whole logistics and this complicated way that we consider to be a workout, where really anyone who's working in a cubicle can stand up and drop for a set of 20 deep squats. And even if you're a fit person, I'm pretty fit. When I get to 17, 18, 19, 20, your legs are burning. And so you can get a tremendous fitness stimulation with a single bout of a 1 minute effort that puts your body under strain, where you can get your breathing going, your heart rate's going up, and that will help you feel more alert and energized if you have been sitting there at your desk for 30 minutes or an hour. And so sprinkling these micro workouts in throughout the day help to add up to a more active lifestyle. They build your fitness over time in a manner that's gentle, so you don't have that risk of burnout and soreness and injuries and things that happen when you push yourself too hard in the gym. So it's kind of tiptoeing your way to becoming really fit by doing one set of squats here and there, or maybe writing a sticky note if you're working in the home office and maybe there's a kettlebell on the ground, or you're just doing the squats, or I have these stretch cords that I pull that hang from a bar, and you can say one set before leaving the office every day. So it's not intimidating to look at the sticky note. It doesn't say work out an hour every day or you're a loser. It's just, hit these checkpoints. It's sort of like back up your hard drive, and then below that it says one set before leaving every day, and everyone can smile, look at the note, take it seriously, and have it be important to you. Like I talk about my streak, and now I've told you and your listeners in public that I'm at a 6-year streak. So I'm not going to break it tomorrow because I don't feel like it. It means something to me and it's important. So make these commitments and these obligations to yourself, and you can kind of make it into something fun. When they're in your visual field, the behavior psychologists say it's much more effective and much more likely to bring adherence than if you have even one door down in your fabulous house as a home gym. It's not as effective as having something in your eye view all day long, like a kettlebell as a doorstop, to inspire you to pick that thing up once in a while. My friend Dude Spelling's a primal health coach in Texas. He has the hexagonal deadlift bar. You know what that looks like, people?
Oh,
It's
uh-huh.
they call it a hex bar, and it's this square contraption where you put the weights on, and it fits right in his door frame so that he has to step over it to get out of his office. So in other words, he has to do a set of deadlifts before he goes to the bathroom during a busy workday.
Wow. That's taking it to the next level. Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's take it to a simple level. Here's my level with a staircase. So if you have a staircase in your home or in your office environment, my rule with my own staircase in my home is I sprint up it every time I ascend the stairs throughout the day and throughout my life. It's only one staircase, but I always hit the stairs fast. And if you're not in top shape and you're worried about your sensitive back, whatever, you can grab the railing and hustle up the stairs as a rule rather than cruise up the stairs. I talked to someone about, it's better to take the stairs than the elevator. And the person said, well, look, I work on the 27th floor. I'm not taking the freaking stairs. I'll be sweaty by the time I get to my meeting. So how about this? You get off at the 24th floor every single time, and you go up 3 floors, and that's your workday. That's doable. That's sustainable. This is a long time ago, but I was just saying this on a podcast, this advice.
Mhm.
Someone wrote me an email and said, I met a girl because I kept getting off at the wrong floor, and I never would have seen her and met her before. And now we're going out, and it's all because of your silly comment to get off on the 24th floor instead of the floor that you actually work on. And I'm like, there, people, that is magic right there. So something like that could be a big winner for you as well.
Definitely. Okay, so we gotta touch on what are you eating? Because I did see a video also. I don't know if you were doing this for a time period or if it's your normal thing, but you had like watermelon, mango, blackberries, pineapple, and then there was some talk about a protein powder too. Do you have a protein powder out there already?
Hey, thanks for teeing me up, Yvette. Oh my gosh, it's called the B.rad Whey Protein Isolate Super Fuel. It has creatine and the very best whey protein in the world in there. I've been looking all over to get the best product. There's so much stuff out there, and a lot of people are kind of hesitant to take supplements because we don't know about the quality control. So I just wanted to go out there and find the most potent and pure way to get your protein needs met. And I think protein supplements are great for just about everybody. Of course, the athletes need it, and the big shots in the gym know they're walking around with their protein jugs. But there's great research coming out now that the aging population, as we age, we become less efficient with protein synthesis. So when I'm looking at my product, I have my son who weighs 200 pounds. He was a skinny guy in high school, and now he's a big muscle guy because he eats all day long and works out. And that's like his life. And then I have my mom who's 85 and still in good shape, but like she is also a target audience to increase her protein intake, because the elderly, they're not, maybe pounding weights in the gym, but they still need to regenerate and keep their body in the building mode rather than losing muscle mass throughout aging, which is called sarcopenia. And the experts believe that's the single biggest driver of accelerated aging, is the loss of muscle mass over time. And to fight against that, yes, you have to be active, but you also have to get your dietary protein needs met. But to answer your question, I talk a lot about diet. I've written books about diet and been in the primal, paleo, keto, ancestral health space for so long. And the further we get into this, the more we can potentially get confused and controversial. And there's people saying different things. And we know the whole food plant-based movement is huge and strong, and they have loud voices, and they're thinking that this is the best way and that you're a more woke and sustainable person if you swear off these nasty animal foods. And then we have the other side, like the carnivore movement, which is fascinating to me, where people are healing and feeling great because they're going on this high animal-based diet. And so I am trying now to back up a few steps, because I live and breathe this stuff, and I don't want the average person to get confused or discouraged, and focus on the big picture items. And number one, by far, is to simply clean up your act and eliminate the consumption of processed foods. These nutrient deficient, highly toxic processed modern foods are what largely are killing people before their time and causing this huge incidence of disease, breakdown, cancer. Even cognitive diseases are now being closely associated with adverse dietary practices. And so if we can just clean up our pantry, our cupboards, our refrigerator, and then be a little more sensible when we're dining out, to try as hard as we can to stay away from, I call them the big three toxic modern ingredients, which are refined industrial seed oils, vegetable oils, and refined grains and sugars, and all the foods that are made with these agents. And so we're talking about your concoctions at Starbucks, and we're talking about all the frozen and packaged foods that we see on the shelves at the grocery store. And unfortunately, in the case of dining out, there's a lot of use of these inexpensive vegetable oils or seed oils to cook our meals in, or to fry stuff up when it comes to fast food or anything that's fried. And so if you can just kind of drift away from that and emphasize the nutrient-dense foods of the earth that have fueled human evolution for 2.5 million years, you're going to be doing really, really well without going further deep into the nuances and the strategies of how many carbs are you eating per day, and what foods are you combining in this meal or that meal. That stuff is largely fun and games, but the biggest one is to just clean up the consumption of that nasty stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. And so pretty much go through the cabinets, look for the things that don't look like what they look like in in nature, those things that are highly processed that you can't even recognize them anymore, and just kind of
Yeah, I mean, some of it's simple and obvious, and most people know that when they pull up to the fast food window that they're not doing themselves a service for their health. But there's also a big concern when we have these boxes and labels that are trying to convince you that it's healthy. So it's the healthy morning waffles, whatever, and then you look on the box and it's using these seed oils like corn oil, canola, soybean, sunflower, safflower oil. That's the number one enemy. And then too much processed sugar is going to be right up there. But the worst one is the seed oils. And so many processed foods are made with them that we are, bombarding our systems with this stuff that research has shown to cause an instant disturbance in healthy cellular function and healthy fat metabolism. So to make it brief, the story here, what happens when you consume these processed foods is that you interfere with your body's own natural ability to burn energy, to burn body fat. And so when you get compromised in your ability to burn energy, then how do you get energy? You're reliant upon more and more doses of these processed foods. And so if you're dragging ass at 2 PM and you need a snack, a coffee and an energy bar, which, they also tout that they're wonderful, natural, nutritious ingredients, but anything processed is going to be an objection in comparison to grabbing an apple or a banana or, an egg or a cut of steak, right? And so we're going to do the best we can. But if you have some dysfunction driven by the consumption of these processed foods, you're going to need more and more of them just to get through the day. And that's where just taking steps to clean up and clean out these objectionable foods, you're going to start feeling better and having more energy, and you're going to be drifting more toward foods that are nutritious and actually make your body feel good. When you're finished eating them, you get up from breakfast, you had 4 eggs and some fresh fruit or something that's clearly one of the foods that have driven human evolution for millions of years. They're good for the body, and you get up and you feel good and you have energy for hours afterward. And that's when we want to that's what we're striving for, is to be good at burning energy internally.
Definitely, definitely. So, any last words for the listeners? Anything, especially going into this holiday season, food is going to be everywhere. Time may
Well,
be
you
short.
know what? I mean, go enjoy the heck out of your Thanksgiving dinner, but there are ways to navigate this so smoothly to where you can load up on as much turkey and freshly made side dishes, and just stay away from running down to the store and buying a pumpkin pie and looking on the side with all these ingredients, preservatives, industrial seed oils. Make it yourself. Get the cans of pumpkin and some eggs and make the crust yourself. I used to blend up in the puree, crushed up nuts to make the crust for my pies. And so you can make, celebration foods just with a little more intention and making some wiser choices with the brands and the various options. So it's just kind of stepping up a little bit to have a wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas celebration. But if you find yourself reaching for treats and sweets and processed foods, this is an indication that something's wrong inside your body. And so we want to back up a little bit. And you mentioned that video where I'm showing myself eating a bunch of fresh fruit in the morning and a huge protein smoothie. If I can fuel myself with good energy in the morning, it's just like my morning exercise routine. I'm setting myself up for a day of making good eating decisions, because I'm not desperate in a tailspin, feeling all those symptoms of brain fog and cranky and moody because my energy production has been compromised by a crappy breakfast. So don't ever think about deprivation, restriction, and eating fewer calories because you're so frustrated because you've gained a few pounds for the holidays. It's not about that. All the research validates that if you eat fewer calories, your body will just slow down and you'll have worse workouts and it'll take you longer and you'll feel more tired. Your body will conserve energy. But if you can consume more of the nutritious foods and get that other stuff out of the picture, that's when you can elevate to a higher level of energy and vitality and functioning. So the last words for the listeners is clean up your diet and make a commitment to move 5 minutes to start your day every single day. That's bite size. And then I'll be back on the show in 6 months and we'll cover a bunch of other stuff. But those two things, boy, pretty simple and doable for everybody.
Okay, now I'm pulling out my calendar and I'm marking 6 months from now, because we need to do this, because you have a lot of other things like the barefoot lifestyle and some other things that I was kind of looking at like, okay, Brad, I see you. You got a lot going on here, especially with your own protein powder and everything. I know the listeners can find you on your website at bradkearns.com. That's BRADKEARNS.com. You can also find you on Instagram at Brad Kearns and the number 1.
Right. Good
And
stuff.
this is this was a lot, but you can always go back and listen to it again. And you can go check him out, because the morning routine that he was talking about, he actually has a program out there as well that you can look into. Now, Brad, is it a actual book or is it an ebook?
Well, this is an online course. So you register for this morning routine course, and you get a series of numerous videos where I go through every single thing that I do. And I also offer like 4 or 5 different split off suggestions that might be different level of difficulty, different time commitment. And so you can pick and choose. And the idea is to create your own custom morning routine. You don't have to copy mine for 40 minutes, but you can see some of the cool stuff and make up something for you that takes 5 or 7 minutes or what have you. And there's a wonderful ebook that describes everything in detail as well as the video. So it's a comprehensive learning experience. And I wanted to do it because it's been such a big life changer for me. And I think it's within reach of everybody. And like you mentioned, getting your daughter off at 7 a.m., that's a tough one. But there's a lot of magic to first thing in the morning. And so if we can find that time, that's when, the best behavior change occurs, because we do have good motivation, willpower, focus, and ambition first thing in the morning. And that's, that's a vote for doing it in the morning. But if you do it after that bus pulls away and you commit to it, and it's locked in, same with the dog walk is going to happen at, 9 p.m. when the dog's circadian rhythm is so finely tuned that they'll come to the door and wag their tail on cue every 24 hours. They know when it's time to eat, they know when it's time to walk. And that's when it gets fun, because you kind of become that person yourself where you're in rituals.
Right. And you definitely need to go ahead and get some shirts with "Do It for Your Dog." I
I love it.
think that's a thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Brad, thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to lots of other chats with you, because you've got great information. You've got great energy. And I don't know if it comes from your morning routine or what you're eating, or just you're just a great person in general. But I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. Me too, Yvette. Keep up the great work with your show, and love to come back anytime.